across to YouTube Live, which is good. It's just going to take a second. Again, if you have any more questions, pop them into the chat while we wait. We'll get started in about 30 seconds. Just got to wait for this radical technology to do its thing. Okay, it's doing its thing, which is good. Okay, and let me share my screen. Oh, let me share my sound. My apologies. Hold on one second. Let me do that again. I need to share sound with you. Okay, sharing screen and sharing sound. Okay, cool. Looks good. And going full screen. Come on, slow computer. Today, my computer didn't want to get out of bed this morning. No, come on. What's going on with it today? It's crazy. It's crazy how some days your computer will be fast and other days it'll be slow. And you think, technology shouldn't be like that. Okay, there seems to be one question in here, which is, good morning, Jay. Cool. Oh, and Hiba, can we take a break during the exam? Yes. I mean, if it's anything like IELTS, I've taken IELTS 5 times, so I know from IELTS that you can, and you want to only take a break during the reading section. Of course, during the listening section, they will not pause the audio for you while one person goes to the bathroom, for example. So if you do need to go to the bathroom, you will have to hold on until the reading section. Just as a really practical thing, go to the bathroom before your exam, obviously, okay? And also just be conscious of, just being very practical here, but I am speaking to medical professionals, so it's okay. Be conscious of what you eat the night before. You also don't want to upset your stomach the night before a test. Don't eat curries or something like that, perhaps. You want to make sure that you're not you don't want to deal with any of the physiology of your body during on exam day, okay? You want to be feeling pretty straight. You want to have it all ready to go. Okay, cool. Okay, hi everyone. My name is Jay. I'm one of the expert OET teachers here at e2language.com. My apologies for the slow start today. What we're going to do in this free sample class, this class is designed for those of you who are free members who are considering joining E2 Language as a paid member. It can also be helpful for those of you who are paid members and who are attending, because we will do some practice. What we're going to do is look at what's coming up this week. We're going to look at listening part A, B, and C, and we'll look at some study tips as well. If you do have any questions, do pop them into the chat because I will answer them as we go along, and we'll do a little Q&A at the end. So what's coming up this week? Well, during the month of November, we have 2 live classes per day, 5 days a week. Okay, so we have listening, reading, speaking, writing for nurses, and writing for doctors. Okay, these are live classes taught by expert teachers 5 days a week, twice a day, at 2 very different times. One's at 7 a.m., one's at 7 p.m. So you should, Melbourne time that is, so you should find a time that is convenient in your time zone. Okay, so these are a terrific way to prepare for OET because our teachers will basically tell you what you need to do. It's not really, you won't be doing this sort of self-organizing. They'll be taking you through the methods, taking you through the practice questions, explaining answers, etc. So it's very powerful. It's a good way to study. So 2 to 3 live classes per day, 5 days a week. Okay, let's get started with listening part A. So listening doesn't seem to be much of an issue for candidates on test day. The issue really is surrounding writing. That's where people get the lowest scores, followed by reading, in fact. So listening isn't too bad. But nevertheless, it's worth focusing on because you want to get it right on test day. So what we're going to focus on is the task. Then we'll look at the method, that is the approach that we should take on test day, followed by some practice. So this is kind of what listening part A looks like. You'll get your instructions. I believe you'll get the instructions and then you'll get the test booklet itself. And what listening part A is you're listening to a consultation between a medical professional and a patient. That medical professional might be a GP or a dentist or a nurse or a physio or something like that, and the patient has some sort of ailment and it's a discourse, and you'll be writing down into the gaps words or phrases or a word or a phrase that comes directly from the audio. Now, the word or phrase typically that you write down will come from the patient, not the medical professional. That's not true in all cases, but usually, more often than not, it's going to be what the patient says. So the patient's going to be explaining something. Now, you'll also notice here on the question sheet here, there are titles and subtitles. So patient, presenting symptoms, recent history, etc. So you're going to be using these as the dialogue continues through to orient yourself, to navigate your way through, to know where you are and to know when number 3 is coming up, for example. Anyway, I'm going to disappear and we'll listen to the instructions.
Part A. In this part of the test, you'll hear 2 different extracts. In each extract, a health professional is talking to a patient. For questions 1 to 24, complete the notes with information you hear. Now turn over and look at the notes for extract 1.
Okay, so that...
Extract 1, questions 1 to 12. You hear a GP talking to a patient called Daniel Anderson. For questions 1 to 12, complete the notes with a word or short phrase. You now have 30 seconds to look at the notes.
Okay, so when you have 30 seconds to look at the notes, you want to use a methodology
Part
here.
A.
What you want to do in those 30 seconds, we're just going to look at 6 questions. I'll give you 15 seconds. What you want to do is predict what type of word can be used to fill that gap. Okay, so I'm just going to give you 15 seconds now, and then we'll do it together, and then it'll be much clearer. Okay, here we go. So please predict what type of word can fit the gap. That is, what type of word as in a noun or an adjective, or what type of word as in a medication or a number or something like that. Okay, so let's look at number 1 here. So we've got presenting symptoms, 2 weeks, something than usual. So what we're going to need here is one of those adjectives that is more adjective or adjectiver, like, sorry, my computer's doing the craziest things. You wouldn't imagine. It's taking so long. So for example, bigger than usual, or smaller than usual, or more symptomatic than usual, or something like that. So we're going to be looking at this type of language here is the only type of language that can possibly fit that gap. This gives it away. That gives it away because this is called a comparative adjective. So we need a comparative adjective there. Now, you might not think to yourself, I need a comparative adjective. You will think to yourself that I need one of those words that is like bigger, smaller, faster, etc. Okay. What about number 2? What type of word would fit here? Please type into the chat. What type of word, or not necessarily a part of grammatical speech, but what are we going to be looking for number 2? What are we going to be? Correct. Yes, we're going to be looking for a number, right? Because we got months here, plural noun with an S. So is it going to be 1 month? No, it's going to be more than 1. So we need a number that is more than 1. Okay. What about number 3? Bad sore throat and what? What are we looking for in number 3? Great, a symptom. A symptom that would be good. Another symptom relating to probably sore throat. So just pop in, just have a guess. What's a symptom that relates to sore throat that you could guess there? Fever, cough, runny nose, something like that. Terrific, well done. And that might pop into your mind in the 30 seconds preparation time. Exactly. Now, it might not be correct. It might not be runny nose or headache. It might be something else. However, when you hear the patient say that thing like fever, then you'll know that that's exactly what you need to write. What about number 4? Sorry. So an ailment or a symptom, for example, shortness of breath, becoming more. Again, we need an adjective here. Just guess. Number 4, becoming more what? Frequent, says Farida. Yes, we don't say frequenter, but we do say more frequent. That's a good guess. More severe, correct. It could be becoming more severe. Good, nice work. So it needs to be an adjective, that's for sure. Breathing normal. What could be number 5? Just take a guess. Frida says sounds, breathing normal sounds. Okay, good guess, nice. This one's a little bit tricky. Oh, rhythm, breathing normal rhythm. Yes. Okay, I think Danika's actually seen this live class before. But it could be something like breathing normal when something, or breathing normal when sitting, or breathing normal at work, or in, something like that. There could be a preposition, or this is a relative pronoun. No history of, and here we have chest problem, so some sort of disease or condition. Cool, let's do it now. Please take out a pen and have a piece of paper, and you'll need to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on your piece of paper. And we're going to listen very carefully and write down the word or the phrase that the patient or possibly the medical professional says. And of course, that doesn't work. Let's go 3, 2, 1.
Hi, it's Daniel, isn't it?
Yes, Daniel Anderson, that's right. Hi, Dr. Hampton.
I haven't seen you for quite a while. What brings you in today?
Yeah, I probably should have come in before now.
Okay, well, that's fine. So how can I help?
Well, basically, over the last couple of weeks, I play football on Sundays, and a bit more than a couple of weeks ago, I was getting a bit more tired than I used to be. Like, I'd get out of breath in the game, I'd get puffed out. But more recently, it's been little things like walking up and down the stairs and stuff like that. That's got me a bit tired as well. So I was just wondering what's wrong with me, really?
Okay. When did you first start feeling poorly? Can you remember?
That's the thing. I had a cold, you see. Well, I thought it was a cold. I had a sore throat, and I was quite under the weather for that, but I've never really recovered since then.
And how long ago was that?
That'd be about a couple of months ago now.
Couple of months. Did we see you with that?
Well, so I made an appointment on the phone, but I didn't come in the end.
No, I didn't see you on the computer. So you just basically managed that yourself and...
Yeah, I thought it was getting better, but it's never really... I suppose that's never really gone away entirely. So maybe it was something more than a cold. I don't know.
Okay. What symptoms were you getting with that cold at the time?
Bad sore throat. My glands felt quite big as well. So I was just really tired, really, no energy.
Were you short of breath at that time during the cold?
Yes, but not as much now. That's why I've come in now, because it's gotten worse. It's got a bit more noticeable. But the cold symptoms have gone away now, pretty much. I still get a bit of a sore throat every now and again.
Right, okay. When you're at rest, do you get short of breath?
No.
No. Okay. Ever had asthma?
No, I've never had asthma or any sort of chest problems as far as I can remember. Nothing like that.
And do you have a particular diet? Are you a vegetarian or anything?
Okay. Nice. Let's go through the answers. Hopefully you got 6 of them. So first one was more tired, or a bit more tired. If you wrote a bit more tired, that would be considered correct. Or if you wrote more tired, that would be considered correct as well. So we knew from our prediction that we needed an adjective in here, or a more adjective, or a tireder. If you wrote tireder, I think it would also be considered correct. What's interesting to know about listening part A is that it is marked by people, not by the computer. And as such, they do accept variations in answers, okay? They do accept variations in answers. We'll see down here with number 3 that he said big glands, which is a bit odd. It doesn't really fit grammatically there. But if you wrote glands bigger or swollen glands, they would also accept that as correct. So they allow variation. Chi says, what if I only put tired? They would probably accept that as correct. If it's definitely ungrammatical because you can't just say tired than usual. More tired than usual would be grammatically correct, but they do allow variations. Okay, number 2, couple of months. Safina says, do I mark the test? No, I don't. I do have people in the office who do mark the official test though. So Mengia says, are the answers exactly from the conversation? The answer is yes, they should be. They should be exactly taken from the conversation and used. So couple of months. So there's no need to write 2 or 3, for example. This one was a bit odd. Bad sore throat and big glands. He said big glands. Noticeable was the adjective here, becoming more noticeable. Shortness of breath becoming more noticeable. Breathing normal at rest. And asthma was the associated chest problem. Cool. How did you go out of 6 there? What was your score? What did you get out of 6? Pop it into the chat. Nice. Jumoki, 3, Farida got 6. Nice work. 5, 5, 6, 6, 5. I think Harati said glands, not nodes. 4. Cool, nice work. Listening part A is pretty straightforward. You really should be trying to get 100% of them correct. Okay, just a little plug for our mini mock test. So if you are new to OET, that is, you have never taken the OET test before, and you're a bit concerned about what's going to happen on test day, and you're a bit concerned about your grades because you haven't taken it before, you should really invest a little bit of money in purchasing a mock test. And I think ours, E2 Languages mini mock test, is the best one out there. It simulates the real test. So you sort of get a really nice feel for what it's going to be like on test day. You get a really good feel for the intensity of it. You do listening, reading, and writing in one sitting. So that'll take you about 2 hours. And you should be doing it together as one because you want to experience the fatigue, actually, that happens on test day. And you will get fatigued on test day. It's important to experience that because it's like practicing for a marathon. You know, you don't want to just get up one day and run a marathon. You do want to have a few experiences of running that, you know, that distance so your body and your mind can cope with it. And you book your speaking separately. So your speaking can be done before or after you've done the other sections of the exam. Can I just also mention to you that please, if you have not yet booked your speaking mock test, please book it sooner rather than later. Don't wait till 2 days before the exam for 2 reasons. One is you might have to take a very inconvenient time because there might only be times at midnight or 1 a.m. left to take your speaking mock test. And the other thing is you want to get your feedback well in advance. Okay, you want to really, because if you get bad feedback or critical feedback that you need to look at, you don't want that to come the night before your test. Okay, you want that to come a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before your test, so you can have a really good think about it and start to think about how you can improve it. So I would recommend, if you're taking the test in not this weekend, coming the weekend after, please book the speaking mock test for the next few days coming up. Cool. All right, listening part B. Let's listen to the instructions, and this is what it'll sound like on test day.
Part B, questions 25 to 30. In this part of the test, you'll hear 6 different extracts. In each extract, you'll hear people talking in a different healthcare setting. For questions 25 to 30, choose the answer A, B, or C, which fits best according to what you hear. Now look at question 25.
Okay, so let's go through these instructions again so you're clear on what happens on test day. What's going to happen is you're going to hear, you know, in reading part B, how you get those 6 short little readings. There's a little text and then there's a 3-answer multiple choice question. It's almost entirely the same for listening part B. You'll get 6, except instead of getting texts, you're going to get 6 short audios, okay? And each one will be completely different. They're not associated. There's no sequence to them. One will be in a nursing home between a patient and a nurse. Next one will be a monologue of a doctor speaking, for example, and they're unrelated. And there'll be 3 answer options. So it will look like this on test day. Now let's quickly go through the method here. So the person is going to read out this. You hear a nurse in the emergency department discussing the care of a patient with a doctor. What you want to do here is you want to sort of get in your mind of who the speakers are going to be. So you're going to hear a nurse and you're going to hear a doctor talking about a patient. And then the speaker will say, now read the question. And you have 15 seconds. You have 15 seconds then before the audio starts. And this is the question here. It says, what do the speakers agree to do? Okay, what you really want to do here is think, okay, there's a doctor and a nurse. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to listen for what they agree to do. Okay, you can quickly look at the answer options. Do they agree to put the patient's arm in a sling? Do they agree to wait for the patient to calm down? Do they agree to treat the patient's pain to relax the arm? Okay, then what you really should do is when the audio starts, you don't want to be looking at those answer options because you're going to be confusing your mind. You're going to be reading while listening, and that's a real challenge. You really should be just putting that question into your mind. What do they agree to do? What do they agree to do? What do they agree to do? And listen for that audio. And at some point, there's going to be an agreement made. Okay. As soon as you hear that agreement, what do they agree to do? You glance at the answer options and go, right, it's that one there. One of the things that our minds struggle to do, if not, I think it's impossible to do, is read and listen at the same time. You can't do that. You can read and then listen and then read and then listen and then listen and then read, etc. But you can't do it at the same time. So anyway, let's practice this. Okay, so I'll give you 15 seconds to read through this and then I'll start the audio. So keep this part in mind, please.
Now look at question 25. You hear a nurse in the emergency department discussing the care of a patient with a doctor. Now read the question. So, who have we got here?
This is Adam King. He was brought in with a dislocated shoulder. He has Marfan syndrome, so we've seen him before with this. Last time he was here, the shoulder popped back in while we were putting his arm in a sling, and he was able to put it back in himself just by relaxing his muscles, but he's in quite a bit of pain right now, so he's having trouble calming down and getting those muscles relaxed.
Right, I see. So, do you want to start with some nitrous and some pain relief?
Yes, I think that's best, just until he calms down.
Okay. What do you think the answer is there? A, B, or C? Okay, it seems to be a toss-up between B and C. Most people are selecting C. It's a bit tricky because what happens is that all the options will be mentioned, or at least one of the words will be mentioned. She said something about last time they put his arm in a sling, but that wasn't what do they agree to do. That had nothing to do with the agreement. Did they agree to just wait for the patient to calm down? Or did they agree to treat the patient's pain to relax the arm?
No.
The answer here, let's read through here. So the nurse says, this is Adam. Actually, I'm going to let you read through this. So I'll give you like 30 seconds to read through this and then think about the answer again. And please, you can change your answer if you want. What do they agree to do? If you look down here, the doctor says, right, I see. So do you want to start with some nitrous and some pain relief? Yes. So what are they agreeing to do? The answer there is C. Okay, they agree to treat the patient's pain to relax the arm. That's the correct answer. They don't agree to wait for the patient to calm down. They agree to treat the pain first. That's the correct answer. But you can see how it can be tricky because, first of all, the patient's arm, the sling was mentioned, doesn't necessarily mean it's correct. Right at the end, she does mention something about calming down, not necessarily correct. What do they agree to do? They agree to treat the patient's pain. Again, it's all about this question prompt here. You keep that in mind while you're listening. Cool. If you're finding this challenging or confusing or frustrating, which it can be, language tests can be really frustrating. One of the things that can make language tests really frustrating is poorly written materials, okay? So I really do warn you that when you make a decision about who to prepare with for your OET, make a decision based on quality, because if you're choosing based on cost, you can run into real problems, because if the questions aren't written correctly or written well, they can be more frustrating than anything, and they can just actually be unhelpful. So the good news is about E2 languages materials is they're written by ex-OET item writers. That is, people who actually write questions for the OET, actually write our tests as well. So they're very high quality. And you'll get 6 full practice tests. So you'll get, in fact, 36 listening part B questions to practice with. Plus, in addition to that, you'll have all of the live class questions as well. Okay. And there's also transcripts that come along with ours as well. So if you do get stuck, you can read carefully, look at the transcript, find out why you're getting it wrong or not. Maybe you're getting it right. Okay, let's move on to listening part C. Let's listen to the instructions, just like on test day.
Part C, questions 31 to 42. In this part of the test, you'll hear 2 different extracts. In each extract, you'll hear health professionals talking about aspects of their work. For questions 31 to 42, choose the answer A, B, or C, which fits best according to what you hear. Now look at Extract 1. Extract 1, questions 31 to 36. You hear an interview with Dr. Christine Erickson, who's talking about her research supporting non-fasting lipid blood tests for cholesterol. You now have 90 seconds to read questions 31 to 36.
Okay, so let's go through this now and think about how listening part C works. Okay, so first of all, there's sort of 2 parts to listening part C. You'll get 8 questions on 1 audio file. And that audio file will be a monologue, that is 1 person speaking, or it's going to be an interview, 2 people speaking, 1 person asking a question, then the person speaks. Question, person speaks. Okay, so you'll complete 1 of them, and then you'll get an entirely different set of 8 questions. So one might be on, what's this one on? Non-fasting lipid blood tests for cholesterol. Next one might be on pain relief for blah, 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 blah. It's a completely different talk, a different person, different voice, etc. Listening part C is tricky for a couple of reasons. One is, let's take a look at the what it looks like here. Oh, yeah. I don't want to show you the answers. Sorry. Okay, so have a look at this. This is what the question booklet will look like on test A. There's a lot of text. Oh my God. There's a question prompt. There's 3 answer options. The answer options have a lot of text. So what's going to be happening is you're going to be listening and following down through the answer options there, going from 31 to 32 to 33, etc. And there's going to be 8 questions. Okay, so the first challenge that you have is to navigate or to know when to move from question 31 to 32 and to listen carefully and answer that one. And then to know when to move from 32 to 33 and to answer that one, etc. And this is done in a very, I'll tell you what, in the interview, it's much easier because you know when the question moves from one to the next because the person will ask a question. So there'll be 2 people speaking. So the interviewer asks a question. Let's say that's question 31, and then the person speaks. Okay, then the interviewer will say, okay, interesting. So my next question is, and you know that it's moved to question 32. So that's quite explicit and clear. What's not explicit and clear, or what's a little bit more challenging, is when there's one person speaking. And how do you know when they're moving from question 31 to question 32? So what they do is they use a thing called signpost language. That is, they will indicate when they're moving from one question to the next. They'll say something like, they'll be talking about, what's this one? Opinion about, so their opinion. Okay, they're talking about their opinion on fasting before blood tests. Then they'll talk about research. So there'll be some sort of transition between the two. Like she'll be talking about her opinion, blah, 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 blah. And then she'll say, so, and also what's really interesting is the research that goes into this. So then you know you're on question 32, okay? It's challenging, it's challenging. That's the first challenge. The second challenge is to do sort of rapid reading at certain points. So you're keeping the answer options in mind. There's no clean way to do this, okay? What we saw in listening part B is you can read that question prompt and relax your mind and listen for what do they agree to do, or what does the nurse say is the best course of action, or what recommendation does the dentist give the patient? You can keep that question in your mind and just purely listen, then quickly go to the answer options and choose. Here, what you're going to be doing is different. You're going to be doing sort of rapid reading, rapid listening, a lot of back and forth between the audio and the text in front of you. There's no other way to practice this other than just do it. What I'm going to do now is give you 60 seconds to read through and prepare to listen for this. So you want to be keeping, you can't keep much of it in mind. Just read through and comprehend as much as you can. Okay, so let's do it. Ready? Let's listen.
Hello and welcome to Health Research Roundup. For decades, people have been asked to fast before they have blood tests to check cholesterol levels, However, a new research report from an international group of experts suggests that this is not necessary. To discuss this research, my guest today is Christine Eriksson from Copenhagen University Hospital, who was a lead author of the study. Christine, welcome.
Thank you very much.
So why did we ever ask people to fast for blood lipids, for your blood fats?
Well, if you ask me, I don't really know, except for that's what we've been doing for so many years. I really tried to read the literature and find some very scientific evidence supporting that it is superior to just taking a random non-fasting blood sample as we do now. And I had problems finding the evidence. There's a lot of arguments people put forward for why you should use fasting versus non-fasting, but really solid evidence that is better, I can't find it.
So was this a tradition rather than science?
I think so, yes. I mean, you can ask me, why did it start? I think that some of the early studies, the original publications way back, said that they used fasting samples and therefore everybody thought you had to do that without really thinking why. But those early researchers may have had good reason to do it that way, but there's nothing I've seen that said it had to be done that way. And there's all this evidence now from Canada and the US, 2 excellent studies, one in children and one in adults. And then we have a lot of studies from Copenhagen, and they all show that when you just look at people that eat and drink whatever they usually do, and you take a lipid panel, cholesterol, triglycerides, a very common fat in the blood, then they don't really change very much in response to when you have been eating.
So there is a difference?
Yeah, the difference is in millimoles per litre. So it goes up by about 0.3 millimoles per litre. However, in clinical practice, when you look at triglycerides, you're interested in whether it increases 1 or 2 millimoles, not 0.3 millimoles. So that's what's clinically relevant.
All right, just for my interest, just pop into the chat what you think the answers are there. 31, 32, and 33. Okay. Okay. Nice, Christine. Well done. Okay, cool. Some people are getting them all correct. Well done. All right. Tricky though, right? Tricky because you're really, you're holding a lot in your mind. There's intense concentration on what she's saying, but then there's like rapid reading of those sentences. There's also what your brain is doing is also eliminating incorrect answer options, and that is super powerful. If you can go through while she's speaking and you say, it's not that one. Okay, it's not that one. Is it this one? Yes, it's that one. So the process of elimination is just as important as the process of finding the correct one. In fact, they're one and the same. You can only really find the correct one by eliminating the incorrect ones. So on test day, what I'd be doing with my pen is I'd be putting a little cross next to it, listening very carefully, reading, putting a little cross next to it, and then hoping that that third answer option is going to be confirmed by the speaker, and then going, okay, yep, okay, it's that one. Now she's not going to use the exact same language. So for 31, let's for argument's sake, let's say the answer is C. It is supported by convention, not data. Now she will not say blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it is supported by convention, not data. Obviously, that's not going to be the way this works because that would be too easy. She's going to say the same thing, but in different words, okay? Anyway, let's do a little activity now to first look at how there's transitions between questions, because this is critical. This is the first, not the first step, but you need to understand, and you probably experience this, about when she's moving from one question to the next, or when the interview or the monologue is moving from one question to the next. So, interviewer says, so why did we ever ask people to fast for blood lipids, for your blood fats? She says, well, if you ask me, so this is her opinion about fasting before blood tests. Okay, then she speaks for about 20 seconds. Okay, that is question 1 here, that's 31. Then the interviewer says, so this was a tradition rather than science? And then she starts talking about the research here. Okay, so we've moved to the next one. Then the interviewer says, so there is a difference, and this one is about the differences. So we can see the transitions between the questions here. Now, let's do it by reading just to make sure. So what is Dr. Christine's opinion about fasting before blood tests? Quickly read through this and then select A, B, or C. Okay, people's answers are coming in now, which is good. Okay, so let's look at this closely. I just give it 10 more seconds. Okay, first of all, let's eliminate A. So fasting before blood tests is only necessary in some situations. She just doesn't say that. Fasting before blood tests is superior to non-fasting blood tests. She doesn't say that. Fasting before blood tests is supported by convention, not data. She says that. She says there's lots of arguments people put forward for why you should use fasting versus non-fasting, but really solid evidence that it is better, I can't find it. And here she's talking about convention. She read the literature to find some evidence, and she had problems finding that, okay? So the answer there is C for 31. Let's do 32. Come on, computer. Okay, good. Most people are getting this one. Well done. Hiba has a question, which is, on exam day, do we tick the correct answer? The answer is you'll circle. There'll be a little circle, and you just color in the A or B or C, which one it is. Okay? Okay, so this one here. What does Dr. Christine Erickson say about the research on non-fasting blood tests? The majority of research comes from Copenhagen. Well, let's read this. She says, we have a lot of studies from Copenhagen. Did she say there's the majority from Copenhagen? No, she just says there's a lot of studies from Copenhagen. More studies should focus on children. Well, no, she said there are 2 excellent studies, one in adults and one in children. Nothing about should, no normative statements there. And here it includes data from multiple countries. Well, she says all this evidence from Canada, the US, Copenhagen. So that is multiple countries. The answer there is C. Let's do number 33. I'll just give you 30 seconds. Okay, this one's pretty straightforward. So please ignore the clock. So is there a difference? What is Dr. Christine Erickson's opinion on the difference between the results of fasting and non-fasting tests? The small differences are unimportant. There is no difference in the results. There is a small but significant difference. So all of these three things say something entirely different. She says the difference is in millimoles per litre, so it goes up by about 0.3 millimoles per litre. However, in clinical practice, when you look at triglycerides, you are interested in whether the increases are 1 or 2 millimoles, not 0.3 millimoles. So that is what is clinically relevant. So the answer there is A. The small differences are unimportant. She's saying that this isn't enough to be concerned about. The small differences are unimportant. So the answer there is A. Just before we move on, I see that there are 132 people over on YouTube Live. I'd like to say hello to you. And I'd also like you to click the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any videos we produce and post on YouTube. But I would also like to invite you over to e2language.com, where you can sign up for free, attend some of the free live classes. You get one full practice test for free, including some questions from this one here. Everything you need is on e2language.com. You can, if you want, sort of move around on YouTube. Some of the material is good. Some of it is absolute junk, and be very careful with who you listen to on YouTube. Anyway, I do invite you to come across and sign up for free at e2language.com. Cool. Lots of live classes, 6 full practice tests with transcripts, etc. Check out e2language.com. Okay, just before we move to a little Q&A, what I recommend you do when preparing for OET is study the material carefully. That is, what we did today was we went through it pretty slowly and carefully. You know, we looked at the listening part A, we did the prediction activity, then we did the answers, and then we looked at the answers and made sure they made sense. In listening part B, you should do the same thing. You should really spend time on that question. Spend time with the transcript. Find out why the answer is B, for example, and why it's not A and not C. Only when you're fully satisfied that you understand why the answer is the way it is, you should move on to the next question. This is in your preparation. The reason is that you're going to be really training your brain for all of those little subtleties that happen on test day, okay? You don't want to just do a question, be confused and think, I got it right, I don't really know why, or I don't know why I got it wrong, I'm going to do another question. No, you need to stop, pay attention, really fully understand what's going on, because you're going to learn a lot about how these test writers write the questions, okay? About how they write contradictory answers, about how they write answers that are incorrect because they're not mentioned, etc. And you'll start to pick up all of this stuff. Okay, so do study carefully. Attend as many live classes as you can. Practice on the platform before test day. How long do I need to prepare for OET? Depends on how good your fundamental English skills are. If your fundamental skills are strong, you won't need that long because you're just doing test prep. If your fundamental skills are weak, you will need longer periods of time in preparation because you'll be doing both building skills and preparing for the test. I really recommend, if you're unsure about any of this, do invest in our mini mock test. We've got a special offer deal at the moment called the Showtime package. It's $89 US. Comes with this mock test, comes with unlimited live classes. It comes with a tutorial, a single one-on-one tutorial, as well as the 6 full practice tests on the platform. How I would approach preparation with this package is I would go in, I would learn the methods, do a bit of practice to familiarize myself with the test. I would then take the mini mock test. Now, from the feedback on the mini mock test, I would then use that to focus, to book the topic for my tutorial, 45 minutes with the teacher. Might be on writing, might be on reading part C, for example, and I'll get that personalized tuition on the aspect of the test that I'm struggling most with. Cool. Yeah, so the 45-minute tutorials are terrific. Anyway, let's do a little Q&A. If you have any questions about any aspect of the test. Hiba, can we discuss all 4 modules, speaking, reading, listening, and writing in the one-on-one tutorial, or just one module? Well, you only get 45 minutes, so you're better off, Hiba, focusing in on parts of the test that you're particularly struggling with, because it won't just be a discussion. You actually get in there and you do practice with the teacher. So if you want to do listening part C and writing, you can choose more than one, but I'd recommend 2 max, because you want to spend about 20 minutes minimum. Safina, Jay, do we get a different sheet for recording our answer, as in color the options A, B, C? It's a great question. Hold on. Help, it's on its way. Okay, let me just check something here. Let's have a look together. I'm quite sure that there's no separate answer sheet for listening, but let's have a look at the official website, and we'll have a look at the free sample tests here. Let's have a look at the listening sample test number 1. So the question paper. Quite sure the question paper is the answer booklet. They're one and the same. So let's take a look at this. Sorry, I think my computer has arthritis. Okay. Yeah, there you go. So you'll be writing your answers directly onto this paper here, which is your question sheet and your answer book. So there's no separate answer sheet. And let's have a look at listening part B. This is where you will circle, for example, it says here, you shade one of the answer options here, okay? And same with listening part C, you'll be shading the A, B, C. Cool. Nice. Danica, is it acceptable for misspellings in listening part A? Yes. You can misspell a word in listening part A and still get it correct. As I mentioned before, listening part A is marked by a human being. So let's say the answer is arthritis and you spell arthritis incorrectly, but the examiner can still tell that you're writing the word arthritis. It will be accepted as correct. Chi, I'll be taking my mock test. Can I print the 4 texts in the... I'm sorry, we don't allow printing of or downloading of the materials because they just get shared on Google Drive folders and Telegram accounts and stuff. And it sort of loses the integrity of the mock test. The mock test really needs to be secret, because then when people take it, it's like a real experience. Hiba, do you take any of the tutorials? I think that's your question. And the answer is no, I don't. I think we have about 12 highly qualified OET teachers now who, to be honest, probably know more about this exam than me. Christine, I was trying to upgrade my subscription earlier, but a postal code is needed. Which postal code should I type? It will be the postal code of your credit card associated with your credit card. Try that, Christine. If you get stuck, please email hello@e2language.com. In fact, if anyone has any questions, please email hello@e2language.com. Now look at YouTube Live. Let's see. Questions here. Can you provide me with material to help with reading? Yes, it's on e2language.com. Feel free to sign up for free. Jay, I have 1 month to prepare. Any study schedule you can suggest? I highly recommend the Showtime package for you. It's designed for people with 30 days or less. Showtime package. Can we write in longhand during the test day, Jay? Do you mean in cursive writing? Whatever it is, your writing just needs to be neat and easily understood by the examiner. How much is the mini mock test? I think by itself, the mini mock test is $49 US, but in the Express Plus package that gives you the 6 full practice tests and the 25 live classes, I think it's about $60 US. It's really good value for money, honestly. 25 live classes, mock test with speaking feedback, writing feedback, and 6 full practice tests. Jay, if my exam is in another country, then should I take a mini mock? Yes. How do I improve my grammar? Check out another website that we've developed called e2school.com. e2school.com has courses on there for fundamental skill building, pronunciation, grammar, vocabulary building. It's e2school.com. And they're very inexpensive. I think it's $12 per month or something. It's very cheap. Hiba, are 6 practice tests enough for the exam? I guess it depends, but as I said before, it's very important that you study carefully, not quickly. You know, you're better off doing 6 practice tests carefully than 60 practice tests without thinking through it. Okay, you really want to scrutinize that practice material. Safina, how much is the Showtime package, Jay, cost? It's $89 US. I think it has 6-month validity. It's meant for people who have about 30 days, about a month before their exam. Yeah, 89 US. That includes, again, 25 live classes, a one-on-one tutorial, the mini mock test with writing feedback, a one-on-one for speaking, as well as the 6 full practice tests. So if you break it all down, it's the cost of about, it's about $2.50 per live class. Very, very good value for money. Cool. I think that's all from me. Thank you for coming along. I appreciate it. Again, if you have any questions about the packages or anything, just email hello@e2language.com. Those of you on YouTube, I hope to see you come across to e2language.com, and I'd like to meet you here on the other side of the fence. Anyway,